Hello and welcome to excelexperts.com Buy or Rent Calculator Advanced Training Session. So if you don't already have the Buy or Rent Calculator, you can get it from excelexperts.com. So type excelexperts.com in a browser and it's the very first on the left, Buy or Rent. Click on that, download the Excel spreadsheet. It contains no macros, so it's very safe to open. And we want to look at some advanced functionality of this highly sophisticated calculator. So suppose we've entered in all of our example values, so our situation, our personal circumstances, our belief about what's going to happen in the future, and our various assumptions, and our time horizon of 5 years. And the calculator tells us that we're going to be 28,000 better off renting. This is a future value calculation, it's not present value. In this example we entered some fluctuations in house prices, so down for a couple of years, then flat, then up, then down, flat, up. This was the graph of the wealth comparison. Notice the volatility of wealth when you buy due to the fact that the market is volatile and leverage is causing that change in wealth. Wealth even goes negative. And a graph of the wealth difference. The interesting thing I wanted to look at was ratios. So if we have a look here, based on our assumptions, the long-term income multiple for our assumptions is 3.8. Now this is quite a significant number. If the government introduces a limit on the amount that people can borrow relative to their income, then this number could realistically go down to 3.8 from what it is today, which is a lot higher. It's March 09 right now. So if you put unrealistic assumptions into the calculator and the income multiple at the end turns out to be 9, then just be wary of your assumptions. 3.8 could be a fairly good long-term estimate. So let's have a look at those, what else we can do with this calculator. So with the time horizon of 5 years, we're better off renting it in this example. But let's say I actually don't like renting at all. I don't like the fact that I'm not in control of the place that I'm staying in. So I want to find out at what rent would I be paying at which I'm no better or worse off renting or buying. So what I can do is I can use Excel's goal seek function. So I'm going to do Alt-T-G, which brings up the goal seek box, and I'm going to set this cell to value 0, and I'm going to change the rent. Okay, so if I were paying $294 a week, then I'm no better off renting or buying. But that's actually quite a big increase in the amount of rent that I'm currently paying, so maybe I wouldn't want to do that. Now what else can we do? We can solve for the house price. So I can set this value to be 0, by changing the house price. So suppose I can get this house for 70,000. Well, now I'm no better off renting or buying. Obviously that's a 50% reduction on what it is today, but if I can get there, then that compensates me for the market going down. Okay, suppose I'm worried that I go into negative cash territory. So basically if I buy a house, at some point in this case I can't actually afford this because I'm not really earning enough. I'm going to go negative cash, but maybe I can borrow from the bank in order to finance this. So let's say I don't want to borrow from the bank, but I want to adjust my expenditure so that that isn't necessary. I can do this. I can select any of these cells here and use the same functionality that we used before. Let's try this one. Alt-T-G, goal seek, set this value to 0. So that means I don't want to go overdrawn by changing my expenditure. Okay, so I can, interestingly, I can still increase my expenditure every year, but I can only increase it at 1.2%, 1.3%, rather than what I had before, which was a 2% increase in my expenditure. Well, so that means I can tighten my belt a tiny bit and I can still afford this. Well, that's quite good to know. In this case, all I did was I put an expenditure number here, and then I entered a formula equals this. I click here and I fix the reference, hit enter, and then I copied it down. So basically I'm assuming a flat change in expenditure for the whole period, and I'm solving for that. So I can change that to 4, and then all of the expenditures changed to 4. So that's what I did with the GoalSeek. So another question could be, suppose I really want to buy, but I'm again worried about losing money. Maybe another way around this is to add value each time. So the question we want to ask is, how much value after costs do I need to enter to add each time when I buy, in order that I'm no worse off? So first thing we'll do is, if we're buying, doing up and selling and living in there at the same time, that's probably going to change our time horizon. So I'll probably move every 2 years now. Notice, obviously, due to the buying and selling costs, we are almost twice better off renting. But what we're going to do is we're going to add some value. So I'm going to GoalSeek that to 0 by changing the add value each time. Okay. What's it doing here is it's trying to get that value to 0, but it's not able to a close approximation. So it's trying very wild different assumptions, which is why the numbers go a bit crazy. But it's found what it thinks is fairly close. And have a look at this. If we manage to add 20% after costs every time we buy, and we move every 2 years, then on a 5-year time horizon we can actually be 2,000 better off buying. So these are some of the things that you can do. You can GoalSeek for anything. Think of a question: what happens if my mortgage rate goes up here and I end up in massive debt? Solve for the mortgage rate. So these are some of the things that you can do. One other thing, let's just try this one. Suppose I never want to go in debt. How much do I need to earn if I'm going to do this? Because obviously we are, every time we do this, we're taking a lot of cash out. Suppose we probably can't borrow £203,000 or dollars or pence. So this is actually unrealistic, because we're ploughing everything back into the property, but we're ending up with a big cash deficit to pay for it. So let's say here, how much do I need to earn in addition to this in order that I don't have negative cash? So I can do this, set this cell to value 0 by changing my salary. Okay, so my salary, if that increases to 36,600 after tax, which isn't an enormous salary, but it's a very big increase on our 20,000 that we had before, then I can actually afford to do this on a time horizon of 26 years. Okay, thank you for listening. If you've got any Excel questions that you want answered, or any questions about the calculator, any special functionality you want added, go on the forum and request it. Thank you very much. Bye.